I'm very excited to show you the new features of Revit 2026. I am going to just give you a quick rundown of what I consider to be the most interesting and important features. There's a lot of stuff that changed. So just bear with me. I am going to try at the end to do a little bit of a show of the features in Revit itself. So let's get going with this. The first thing that I always like to point out to all of you end users is that Autodesk does listen to the end users. And many of the enhancements that you find in the software in the last releases have been driven by ideas that get posted by the end users in the Autodesk website. So if you go to the Autodesk website, you need to find the community location. And in the community, you want to go to Revit Products. And in Revit Products, you will find a forum called Revit Ideas. And if any enhancement, anything that you consider that the software should do, you can post it here. Then you can have like all of your bestest friends to vote for that idea. And if it makes sense, I mean, don't ask Autodesk to ask the software to do blue Martians for you. That would not really work. But anything else besides of blue Martians, most probably, and if it makes sense for the software and for a expanded group of users, most definitely you might see it in further releases of the software. Next thing, and this is important, is that your user profile update reminder, you will get a new profile dialog box upon first launching the software that will allow you to inform Autodesk about your role, the discipline, and what you actually do with the software. If you choose to skip this update, this dialog box will appear again 60 days after. And as I am showing you this dialog box, I don't know if you guys have encountered this already, but just to make sure that you know, since this release of the software, and since this year, not this release of the software, but since this year, when you log into the software, you will need to get a from Autodesk a verification code that will arrive to the email through which you are logging into the software. So don't get scared. That is normal. If it hasn't happened to you, and if it happens to you, it's not that your license is broken or anything. Just wait for the code to arrive. Check your inbox. It will be there. You just need to type in that code, and then it will let you log into your software as you are used to. Those are two very important reminders of things that have changed since we last met. So first big change is that the Recap Pro plugin for Revit has enhanced mesh capabilities. So what happens is that within the Revit Family Editor, users now can further refine the objects by adding connection points, extrusions, model lines, or parameters. Right now, recap files are seamlessly integrated with the Autodesk Construction Cloud, the ACC, as we know it intimately. And that enables enhanced collaboration and clash detection between files. NWC, Navisworks files are automatically flagged as clashable within the ACC also. So all this will allow users to perform a more comprehensive clash analysis between the reality capture data and the design models. And that way it is going to allow you to minimize the possibility of having false positives, and thus the team will be able to focus on resolving critical issues. At this point, and this is just a little disclaimer, these meshes don't yet support real-world texturing, but most probably, who knows, we might see that as something that will happen in the future. Next thing is that in the interface now, you have the accelerated graphics in the tech preview. And as you can see in the video, there is that little icon at the top of your screen in some views. And notice that now when you orbit your model around, it does not get ghosted. Okay, so that is a cool enhancement. The next thing that happens, and I thought that this was fairly important, is that coordination models in Revit now allow you to assign colors to each model. So the visibility in the color settings for specific element categories can be assigned for those linked models separately in your host model. Okay, and I have a little video that shows how this is done. So you need to find the model in the coordination model and the links, and then in the visibility and graphics dialog box, you will see the coordination models listed, and you will be able to change the colors of them, thus making it easier to tell one model from the other. Okay, next, and this is very, very cool, the sheet positioning and auto placement. So this is something that I really want to show you in the interface itself. Let me jump to Revit. Basically what it does is that it allows you to save the position of a viewport on a sheet, and then you can place other viewports on different sheets to that same position, making your sheets look so much more organized. And I know that this is something that was way past due. So if I have, let me start with this view, right? And I'm going to grab this floor plan. And the minute I grab the viewport, just notice that in the ribbon, I have the option to do this safe position, right? And I'm going to call this general floor plans. Okay, and when I do that, I can go and I want to save. I want to make sure that all the floor plans of this project that show the whole project, that all those floor plans maintain that same position throughout the whole project. So if I open the next sheet and I select this viewpoint, I can come here, and where it says safe position, notice that it says none in the ribbon. I can come and tell it to move it to the general floor plan. So this is something that I found really. Yes.
Sorry, interrupting you. So it says, is it possible to create point clouds directly in Revit using Recap Pro plugin? Using the Recap Pro plugin?
Well, the Recap Pro plugin creates a point cloud, and then that gets imported into Revit.
Got it. Thank you, Sandra.
You're welcome. Now, while I'm in this model, the other thing that I found that was really cool, and it is pointed out this point here, where the option that reverts the title block to the default origin. Let me show you how that works. So you all know that the title block, it comes in, the title block is the only feature in Revit that has some kind of an obscure 0, 0 location or insertion point. When you are in a title block family, it's this corner here. Whenever I teach Revit, I always advise people to do not move the title block, because then your sheets are going to get printed. But let's say somebody by mistake moved the title block. Notice that now you will have the option to, reset the title block position. This is brand spanking new, and it brings the title block back to the spot, which I think is really cool, because nobody is exempt of by mistake moving something. So that is one of the features that I kind of went, yay. You know me by now, if you have been in a couple of my webinars. I'm a little bit of a nerd, and I clap at features that I find really, really cool. Sorry, this is a little bit repetitive. Sheet collections, if you have ever worked with sheet collections, this was introduced last year, which allows you to set different sheet collections. Specifically, I mean, I had a client that had precisely the use for this feature, and she used to create presentation sheets for the sponsors of the projects that she was building, versus the sheets that were created for actual permits and construction. Right, so that is perfect use for sheet collections. And now there's a couple of things that you can do. First, you can add custom parameters to the sheet collection category through the project parameters. You can create key schedules are now supported for sheet collections, and it is supporting global parameters, all things that I think are incredibly valuable. When you have multiple viewports onto a sheet, usually you would get the option down here for the scale, and it will say varies. Now that is, now the title block parameter allows you for a custom override, so that it can read whatever you want it to read. So I think that was also very cool. I had one of my bosses wanting to change that varies, and now that is possible. The view reference enhancement, this is very, very, very cool. I don't know if you at any point have been faced with or if you ever had been faced with the fact that you wanted to add a shed parameter to either a section view bubble, or to a elevation view, or any of the view reference, and that it was possible with a weird workaround in prior versions of Revit. If you need to know that workaround in older versions of Revit, hook me up, I'll show you. It's like a workaround that goes like so, but it's doable. But now, within when you're creating a view reference, now you have the possibility of adding a shared parameter, which you didn't have. I have a workaround of how to do it, but now you don't need to go beating around the bushes to get it done. And to me, that is, again, huge, huge enhancements, huge feature. Very happy about that. Moving on. The manage links dialog box, big heads up to all of you. It has changed significantly. It is going to look different. Be aware it's looking different since last year. So just get to know it. It is very cool. And one huge thing is that the imported CAD files are being shown in the Manage Links dialog box, which is great. Absolutely great, because again, if you didn't know, imported CAD files would not show in the Managed Links because it was not a linked file. And now they show up and it's like, yay, absolutely, hallelujah to that feature. Just a huge heads up, a lot of controls that were in the options bar are moving to the ribbon. So just be aware of that. I have this huge list of all the tool sets and what got moved. So if you don't find your tools in the custom location, look for them in the ribbon. Don't get frantic. They are there. They're just moving stuff about for whatever reason. But that is happening. So this is the list of everything. And you see a couple of screenshots of where those tools have moved to and how it looks nowadays. So as you can see, the list is long and tedious. So be aware of that. Next change, and if you have been following through since 2024, the topo solids have been changing and they have been improving. And to me, this is the last huge improvement. I mean, following through from the different versions, whatever you had in your topographic tools in 2023, in 2024, I myself call it the ugly child in the neighborhood. 2025, they became better. I think in 2026, they became even better because now you can recess subdivisions, you can create new subdivision types. Overlapping subdivisions now are allowed. Subdivisions now are listed as a topo solid subcategory, and thus they're going to be accessible for schedules, exports, filters, parameters, etc. And they are auto upgrading the legacy subregions. Okay, so to me, this is huge huge enhancement, for the topo solids. Some limitations to this is that offset values cannot exceed subdivision type thickness, so that you are not going to have some floating geometry. Legacy parameters like material and inherit contour are not longer applicable. These settings are now controlled through type properties. Makes kind of sense. And then obviously this is a Revit thing, that it's the geometry limitations in Revit. A layer thickness is limited to a minimum of 1/128th of an inch or 0.8 millimeters, which, I mean, in the building industry, this is minuscule. Okay. Moving on to topo solids, the accuracy of the volume calculations has been improved. There is a new algorithm that is employing the boundary constraint method based on the new topo solid boundaries and projects vertically from the lowest to the highest service point. This is eliminating the inclusion of extraneous volumes which were creating over estimations and previous versions. It is also enabling more accurate excavation planning, quantity takes off, cost estimations, material requirements, etc., etc. So again, I have seen in the last 3 versions of the software that they have been really making the Topo Solids tool a very comprehensive, very useful tool. Civil 3D surfaces that are linked through the ACC are more accurate. Prior we had some issues and those have been fixed. So nested link loading is reducing the processing overhead for complex linked models and enhancing performance. Optimizations will reduce journal log entries. So it's minimizing unnecessary regeneration. So cool feature. The cut void stability has been improved. The Boolean operations are going to be performed better. Again, it's going to minimize the adjustments, and the voided geometry are going to be journaled for reference. Slab shape point enhancements can be copied from one surface to another, which I think is really cool. Again, all related to, I think, to the enhancements that they're doing to the Topo Solids, and this is permeating to the slab editing. So just to kind of summarize the Topo Solids, we have recessed subdivisions. Subdivisions now are a Topo Solid subcategory. Cut and fill volume is more accurate. The linked topography is enhanced. The cut void is more stable. The Topo Solid point threshold has been defined better. And now you can copy and paste shape point editing. Now, regarding walls, up to this release, you could not have an empty core boundary. Now you are allowed to create compound structures without core layers. So it will give users the flexibility to create compound elements without the core layer. And thus you're going to be improving the default joints. To ensure that the wall joints properly relocate that the joints work properly, you might want to make sure that you relocate all layers to the interior or the exterior side of the wall assembly, just to help you out. If you have dimensions that are referencing the core center line, the core face exterior, or the core face interior in an element, that dimension will be deleted after the core is modified and becomes empty. Just keep that in mind. Okay, the next thing, you can now customize the priority number of compound layer. your values must grow incrementally from the core to the finished sites. And it will help the user to customize the representation of wall joints. Now, before I move to our sections, I always like to remind you of our MicroCAD Revit productivity tools that have a whole bunch of very, very, very cool tools. This is another big can of worms. But if anyone, I want to show you just one of them that I find is really, really cool, which is this project cleanup, where you can, and to me, they're all very cool, these project cleanup tools from the MicroCAD productivity tools, but through it, you can clean up an unplaced room or an unplaced area without having to create the schedule prior to that. So really cool tool. If you want to learn more about our productivity tools, just hook us up. We can do a demo. But I just wanted to mention that there is a whole slew of tools in this collection of tools generated by MicroCAD that you might be interested in. And with this, let me open up the floor for questions.